We asked the question, does Europe work for London and Londoners? This is what we found.
My name is Josephine Kirby, mostly known as Jose, which is my label, Jose Hendo. It is an eco-sustainable, ethical fashion label. One thing that I have been very much aware of for about 15 years now is our impact on the environment, mostly the fashion industry. And so designing garments now requires an awareness of our impact on the environment, from the people who buy clothes, from us who make, from the people who make the fabric for us, people who grow the cotton. It's a whole continuous cycle of being able to understand the processes that go into making one single garment. I have been able to get to grow my business is funding from the European Union, and what that has done is enabled me to do shows that I could not have afforded to do on my own, to be able to do exhibitions, fashion shows that I could never have been able to afford. If I hadn't got the help that I did get, I don't think my business would be where it is now. And so one of the things that I feel while I'm growing my business is that I'm able to engage as many people as possible. Young people, bringing young people in as apprenticeships, interns coming into the studio and being able to take from me what they can and going on either to do fashion themselves or to find a path for themselves within industry that will be able to benefit the society. So it's been a natural progression for me to grow my business and be able to apply all those things that are very much what the European Union is really pushing through. Awareness of our environment, where we're now international. We have done New York, we've done Berlin, we've done Africa, we have done, within the UK, so many shows. We're really grateful for that.
The Growth Access Project is designed to support small, medium enterprises as well as micro businesses in London. It is part funded by the European Regional Development Fund, and the target is to see 200 businesses and support them to grow their business and also create jobs, safeguard some jobs, as well as introduce them to new markets and supply chain opportunities. And currently what we do to deliver it is we use specialist business advisors, which we procure, and currently we have about 6 of them who are actually delivering the service for us.
The important thing about this business has been this particular project that's been very, very interesting, I found, is that we've targeted black and minority ethnic business owners, and as much as possible also women, and we've got quite a few, haven't we?
Mm-hmm. Target businesses who normally will not get support or are not aware of the support that is actually out there. So in outreaching, what we had to do was actually go into the community, go into areas where most projects normally would not promote it. So we recruited companies who normally or at the moment seem to be struggling. And so most of our job is to try and redirect them, find new markets for them in order for them to survive. Some of the companies, some of the bigger companies are exporting to Germany, they're showcasing in France, they're also showcasing in Russia. It's not just Europe, I think the wider international markets. A lot of the manufacturers are companies who maybe might not initially, before they came onto the project, were not working to the proper sort of legalized way of working. So it was our job to try and direct them for them to be more compliant. The funding here in the UK is skills-based and it's training-based. This one allows companies to actually have high-level consultants to go in and tailor programs that face exactly what the company's need is. And that ERDF is actually the only project I know of that can do that.
My name is Denise Lydia, and what I have in my hand here is a book called African Violet. African Violet is called Hybrid of Circumstances. The reason it's called hybrid is because it's a mixture. It's not about a purity. It's about the different components that make up that particular group of people, much of which is European. It was a personal journey for me. It's been reflected in a much wider narrative in terms of why and how we're actually here. And that does involve all of Europe. So not only am I from the Caribbean, I am from Europe, because that is the historic ancestral tie that binds us and brings us to this specific place and time. So I'm from Caribbean heritage. I'm European. There's not a way to deny that heritage. And I'm also a Londoner, born and bred, which I'm quite proud of. I'm a Londoner. But Europe, I do consider myself a European. I don't consider England to be an isolated entity. I do consider it to be a wider part of European, and it has European heritage. The benefits of working with Europe have always been about the exchange of information, the exchange of skill.
So I was really interested in trying to get into the music industry and start my own thing, as I was just busking on the street to make a living, really. My name is Camille Idris T. A few years ago, I was homeless and unemployed. Then somebody introduced me to European Union funded programs. I was able to develop my skills and eventually start up my own business. The tutors on the European Union program also helped me to gain my own accommodation. After attending 3 European Union programs, my life has changed considerably. Some of the musicians that I've been fortunate enough to work with include Baba Mal, Peter Gabriel and Cat Stevens. And these days, I am fortunate enough to have my own band, perform my own music all over the UK and in Europe. And the highlight of all this was when we performed this year, 2014, at Walmart Festival, sponsored by Peter Gabriel. Well, it's beautiful. I'm very proud to live in London, and I'm very grateful for all the help the European Union has given me.
I like going here because you can be yourself and the work is not that hard.
This education is really good because they do many tests and they will make your grades higher, and I think it's really good. I like this place because you get higher in grades and you get high in levels. I like that place because when you grow up, you're going to be well educated. We like to study because it makes our grades go higher.
And you will gain more knowledge about stuff that you don't know, yeah.
And especially going to museums.
I like the Rupert Park community because they help you to learn, and when you go to school you'll understand more things, and you'll put your hand up to answer questions more often. Hi, I like this club because if you don't understand your homework, you can come here and they can explain it to you properly.
Teaches you stuff and helps you with your division and times table.
The reason why I'm here is for my children, so they get the extra learning. I like the environment in the classroom because they get to socialise with different children. It gives them a boost with their English and maths and science.
My name is Christian Johnson. I'm the Executive Director of CEF and Links, Community Education Foundation and Links. Our aims and objectives is to provide learning opportunities for children, young people and family. Our main focus is on providing extracurricular activities for young people aged 7 to 16. We also run football training program as a catalyst to encourage learning for young people and also moving them into employment. Today we are at Rupert Park Housing Estate. We've got nearly about 20 young people registered and attending the program 2 days a week, offering almost about 4 hours study support in English, maths, and science. Across Lambeth, we're working with nearly 200 young people. And when we look at attainment gap between the haves and have-not, we could probably see that often young people who are seen to be living on social housing estates seem to get the worst of every benefit as it comes along. And what we had from Elton was a systematic guidance through how the organization can look forward and plan to achieve those objectives that was set. As a result of Elton, we were able to develop our business plan, which we are working which is guiding us through our journey.
Hi, I'm Simon Ullman. I'm the State Director for the Rupert Park Resident Management Co-op. The co-op's been in existence since 1996, and its whole ethos is about allowing residents of the estate to take control of their lives and the way in which their housing estate is run. Lambeth is a very diverse borough in many ways, obviously in terms of ethnicity, famous for its diversity. And the advantages which the experiences of the EU brings, and money which ESF can bring, you can't access from other places. I think we also, talk about the EU, and the population of Rupert Park is hugely diverse. So there are actually links already out into the EU, and families with wider families in the EU already.
What I found actually working as a word that was used earlier on as a grassroots worker or everyday worker, and working alongside the staff, the children and the parents, is the feedback that we get from the parents when they're actually talking about how their children have developed since coming to the study support, or how their confidence has grown, and how often that it's a surprise for them because they've got this opportunity. Then you'll hear a parent will say something around, I've got some really good news to tell you, so-and-so done really well on their tests. So when you're there and hearing some feedback like that, you don't only just feel it from the heart, but you know that you're on the right track.
I don't like the anti-EU people at all. I like it as it is. I think it's fine. I'm happy with it as it is. I think they should do more as well. I think they should do more in terms of languages. I worked in Greece for 2 years as a teacher, and I've lived and travelled in Europe. I think that people in Europe generally are more language oriented than they are in the UK, and I think if people were more keen to learn languages, it might be a bit more sort of, I don't know, European centric in some sense. So.
And they're really excited coming here and they're really enjoying it. So far, so good.
Also, there's no cost or fee, and 2 hours is very long and very good because we learn science, maths and English.
Hello, my name's Naomi Bennett. I'm a registered nurse and I'm also the inventor of NeoSlip. Today I'm at Kingston University's Skills Lab, which is a ward simulation which the student nurses use to get practice. It was whilst I was here at Kingston University as a student nurse that I came up with NeoSlip. I was asked by the teachers I was given a risk assessment essay whereby I was asked to look at problems and come to a solution. I decided to look at anti-embolism stockings, which are these tight stockings that are terrible to get on. During my research for my essay, my risk assessment essay, I noticed that people were not able to get the stockings on, and then through my research I discovered that 25,000 people die each year in the UK of deep vein thrombosis, which is what these stockings prevent. In my spare time I started to look at different fabrics and materials until I came up with this material, and basically it's a low friction that helps to reduce the friction when you apply the stocking, just makes it easier to slide on. All the stockings have got open toe, so once they're on, you can pull the Neo slip out and leave the stocking in place. So while I was at Kingston University, I submitted the idea for an essay. My teachers were really impressed with my product and advised me to enter it into a competition called Bright Ideas West Focus, which I did, and I was pleasantly surprised because I won first prize. I worked my first job as a nurse. As the demands of the business grew, unfortunately, I had to hand my notice in and just work on the business full time. So I was contacted by Triumph at L10 in 2013, and she told me about the EU funding and said that I would be eligible for some support, which at that time was very welcome. Since working with L10, I've gone on to now require an apprentice, and L10 have supported me through defining a job role for him and also create a job specification. Obviously I trained as a nurse, so I didn't really understand the different roles and the structures of the business. Donna and Triumph together have helped me to put structure into the business and really define my own role as managing director of the company. We have sold to America, to Canada and Germany, and last year I was at UKTI organised a big healthcare event in Austria. A project which started off as a risk assessment essay. NeoSlip has been supported by EU funding and is also being considered by the Dragon's Den.
I'm the scientist in charge for an EU-funded Marie Curie Fellowship, which looks at the social legacies from the London 2012 Olympic and Paralympic Games and their transferability and relevance to the favelas of Rio de Janeiro. The Lon Rio project is actually looking at the social legacies and then trying to see if any of them are actually transferable or relevant to the favelas of Rio de Janeiro, where the next Olympic and Paralympic Games will be held next year in 2016. And hopefully some of the findings from the Lon Rio project will be useful in aiding us in that research and making recommendations to the Brazilian organisers and the Brazilian government with regards to their own legacy aspirations for the 2016 Games.
My name is Dr. Leonardo Mataruna. I'm from Brazil. I'm a Marie Curie Research Fellow, sponsored by the European Union. The first outcomes showed that many people was involved in the first moment with the Games working in the temporary jobs, but the population request more jobs in these areas and also more opportunities to feel part of the Games. The 5 boroughs was part of the regeneration project of London. It's time to reflect how we can involve more the people, the local citizen, in the mega events. But the Olympic Games, I'm really part of the Brazilian Olympic team in the judo events, and sometimes we are just inside the Olympic Village, and we can't have many contacts with the population or with the spectators, and we have one view of the Olympics. But when you start to act like research and you have the contact with the citizen, it's amazing the kinds of contribution to really understand the perspective of the society.
My name is V.G. Amin. I'm co-founder of ABI Associates, a company based in Neaston, a mile from Wembley, up in Brent, northwest London. We're 20 years old this year. We've been promoting enterprise economic development for the past 2 decades. Our primary focus is to provide individuals with the tools to help them set up their own businesses, community enterprises, social enterprises, you name it, anything to do with enterprise, we're interested. So we believe in wealth creation. We believe that our company was set up really to create entrepreneurs who create wealth, who create employment, who create prosperity, who give opportunities to others. And from London base, we decided we wanted to work with European partners. So networks have been created, enterprise projects have been created, where local businesses can tune in and sell across Europe. London is home for diverse business. We have businesses and business communities, and communities come from all across the world who settle here. One of the specialism of ABI is to look at the diverse business communities. European funding has helped us to develop a specialism in supporting diverse businesses and diverse communities, not just in London, but across Europe.
Hi, my name is Anika Allen and I'm the Director of Events and Communications Company Impact and Beyond. We provide workshops, seminars, lifestyle events for brands, education institutions and other companies, as well as digital communications for businesses as well.
Hi, I'm Syra Awan. I'm a photographer and visual artist. I do commissioned photography work for the film and music world predominantly. I facilitate workshops with young people based around social and personal issues, and I curate arts-based projects based around disability in the arts, the last one being at Tate Britain in 2014.
So Syra and I are not just friends, we're also colleagues. We've worked together. A business I co-owned called Flavour Mag, where Syra did lots of photography. We've done workshops together with young people, and we met for a European programme called Roots and Roots, which featured, I think it was about 11 to 13 different countries throughout Europe, and so it featured media, music and dance talents who came together to work on a project and to create a massive event that would happen in a particular country around Europe. My first experience in Roots and Roots was about, I think it's about 7-8 years ago now, and I went to Rotterdam, had an amazing time. It was at an event called Meet the Streets, where the talents all got together and they all put on a music performance and a dance performance, and De La Soul were the headliners. On that day, as a media talent, I got asked last minute to do a live broadcast on Dutch TV, so it was going out live. I got asked like a minute and they were like, get on camera, and it was like, here's the mic. No cue cards, no script, no anything, just like speak, talk about what's going on in the background. And it was very exciting, it was very scary as well, but it was a lot of fun.
A couple of weeks after I started my business, I got a call from a company that had helped me with some marketing and accounting workshops, asking me if I'd like to take part in a European project. I was asked to go to Florence as a media talent for Roots and Roots, which I totally adored the whole experience. I made some amazing friends. I got to go to an amazing city. I got to document the preparation for the show and the show itself, which was amazing for my portfolio.
My name is Stefan Priebe. I'm Professor of Social Psychiatry at Queen Mary University of London and head the unit for Social and Community Psychiatry, which is a research group of about 25 researchers who mainly study what matters in mental health care and in terms of social interactions. And we do one large European study, which we call COFI, which is an acronym, and that study is on the importance of continuity of care in mental health services. That needs to be based on evidence. Whether there should be continuity of care between inpatient services, hospital services, and services in the community. Continuity of care means the same consultant psychiatrist, the same clinician is responsible for the patient once the patient is in the hospital and continues to be responsible afterwards. The alternative is to have specialized teams. So specialized teams work in inpatient services and outpatient services. This is a crucial issue across Europe. So we compare the two systems in England, in Germany, in Italy, in Poland, and in Belgium, all countries with different backgrounds, with slightly different traditions of their mental health care system. But these differences now are our advantage. In conclusion, the advantages of working on a European studies are, first, that there's no other funding body who would be prepared to spend enough money on a study of a size that's required for this. Number two is we can compare across different systems. So we take Europe as a quasi-experimental system with different healthcare organizations. And the third one is we put together expertise and different thinking from different countries to enrich the academic process.
My name's Mark English and I'm the head of media here at the European Commission's office in London.
So Mark, it'd be interesting if you could tell us a little bit about the impact of the European Union on London and ordinary Londoners.
Well, I'd look at three policy areas in particular. First of all, there's the single market, and London is a trading city, and the single market means that London can trade without red tape and without barriers with the rest of the European Union. And this brings in a great deal of money and creates a lot of jobs in London. The CBI estimates that UK-wide the single market is worth £78 billion every year to the UK's economy, and a very large part of that will go to London. That's one reason why the city is so enthusiastic, and why, for example, the members of the City UK are 85% in favour of the UK remaining a member. You can also look at other areas. Employment legislation, for example. There's anti-discrimination legislation at EU level which protects Londoners. There are limits on working hours which protect Londoners. There's statutory EU-level provision on maternity leave, on holidays, 4 weeks minimum paid holiday. That helps Londoners directly, and it also means that other cities in the EU can't undercut London by not giving those rights to their workers. So it's a double benefit to London. The European Social Fund, £410 million from that went into London between 2007 and 2013, and that particularly looks at providing opportunities for those who might not get them otherwise, and also at improving the local economy in ways that benefit everybody. A couple of examples. There's a scheme called Enable to Grow, which is about disabled business leaders and helping to boost their businesses and to create jobs in those businesses. A substantial amount of money from the European Social Fund went to that, I think 700 million if I remember rightly.
Could you tell us about the Green Fund, Mark?
Well, the Green Fund is a collaboration between the Mayor's Office, the GLA, the European Commission and others. It's a total of £100 million in funding, half of which is European Union funding. And that goes into areas like energy-efficient social housing, schools and hospitals. Of course, energy-efficient social housing is not just about climate change, it also reduces bills for the occupants of that housing. And also a large amount of money from that fund goes into improving waste disposal.
Tell us, Mark, about the impact of the EU on equal opportunities in London.
Well, there are two sorts of impact. First of all, there is anti-discrimination legislation at EU level on issues like gender, race, all sorts of issues. But secondly, there are many projects on the ground that advance equal opportunities. One is the New Pathways to Work initiative in West London. That gets £1 million of EU funding, and that's about helping severely disadvantaged people into work. They might be disabled people, people with physical or mental disabilities, or just people who've suffered from serious social disadvantage. So equal opportunities is about making sure the laws are there, but also about practical help. And certainly EU funding contributes to that, along with many other sources of funding, of course, in London.
Tell us, Mark, about the impact of EU policy on migration.
Well, London is very much a city of migration and a city of migrants, and it's been so for centuries, certainly long before the EU existed. And many would see it as one of the great strengths of London, of its economy, and also the diversity being a strength of London society over a very long period. Clearly, at the moment, this is a very hot issue, and there's no doubt at all that it's an issue that needs debating and discussing, and that's happening a lot. It's happening in Brussels, it's happening in London, it's happening all over Europe. No doubt at all, and the Commission has acknowledged this many times, that influxes of migrants into particular local areas can put pressure on health services, it can put pressure on schools, but on the other hand, it can also help to pay for those health services and schools, because migrants, especially EU migrants in London, tend to be younger. They call less upon the National Health Service and they pay into it through their taxes. So they're also financing pensions for older people. So certainly there are issues and challenges that come with migration. There are also advantages that come out of it. I think it's very important also to understand three things. First of all, migration works both ways. There are, according to the UK government, up to 2.2 million UK citizens living elsewhere in Europe. And if you're going to restrict free movement, you're presumably going to restrict free movement for them too. And there are also a couple of myths that I think it's important to tackle. The first is that a migrant coming to London or anywhere else in the UK means one less job for a British person, and this simply isn't true, because migrants also come in, earn money, pay taxes, spend money, they buy things, they create demand. So it's not the case that there are a set number of jobs and that migrants are depriving British people of those jobs. And the other thing that I'd just like to tackle is this idea that somehow someone can come from the European Union to London or any other city in the UK without a job and immediately start claiming unemployment benefits. This simply isn't the case, and it's never been the case, and yet it's something that appears to have become widely believed. So I think it's very important to say that that is not something certainly that is required by EU rules, which put quite stringent limits on who can claim benefits when they're not any longer living in their own member state of origin.
Many people complain about Brussels and red tape and that it interferes in domestic policy. What would you say to that?
What the European Union aims to do, and usually succeeds, is to replace 28 rules which are different all over the European Union in 28 countries, with one rule. That it is simply not logical to suggest that without the European Union, somehow red tape would all go away and there wouldn't be any problems.
I'm not sure that the UK is always aware of that level of benefit, but certainly in the projects that I've been engaged in, I've certainly been aware of those benefits to the organisations that I've been working for and to the individuals working
as an organisation, that's London Trade and Employment Network, it's EU funding, either European Social Fund, European Regional Development Fund, different types of even European funding like Daphne. Those are the funds that we use to operate as well. And without this funding, even we would not be in existence.
Not always about raw money, like cash money. For me, a lot of it is about the support that the mentorship that we get with it, and just being signposted in the right direction. So to know that it's been funded is really good, definitely beneficial.
As a young lady living in London, Europe definitely works for me.